Okay, I just woke up and I have noticed that a lot of my friends on Facebook promote ethnic nationalism. Nothing against ethnic nationalism, but what I actually want to talk about is how ethnic nationalism is a return to the pre-Enlightenment. And I know a lot of third positionists and a lot of fascists and a lot of national socialists like to say that the Enlightenment was the beginning of the end for mankind. In Europe it was, but not in the United States. What a lot of people don't understand is the Enlightenment in Europe was very, 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 very negative because of the embrace of the Napoleonic values. Napoleon was an enigma, kind of, because the thing is, or I should say a contradiction. He was an emperor, he called himself an emperor, but he was also an egalitarian that desired for egalitarianism and equality and all this crap. And that had not been embraced by the United States until rather recently. I would say not noticeably until the 1960s. So this concept of egalitarianism and this attempt to erase classes and all this other crap really did affect badly the and this is the thing. Mussolini recognized the need for class distinction, and as did Hitler, and the recognition of private property rights and all these other things that the Enlightenment in Europe tried to eradicate through communism. Communism was the direct result of Napoleonic thinking, in my view. This idea of absolute equality and yada, yada, yada. Now, what's funny about this is in the United States, the Republican, the constitutional Republican system had done nothing but great things. It allowed, like a lot of the things that the fascists and the communists wanted in Europe, we already had here in America at a state or local level. Socialized education, socialized healthcare to an extent, socialized resources, good public services. We had all of these things in the United States until we began to embrace these European style values. Now, in reality, I believe it started with Roosevelt, who was a communist sympathizer. Roosevelt as in Franklin Roosevelt, not Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt was a hardcore Republican, a progressive Republican, but a Republican. But with Franklin Roosevelt, he started embracing these communistic ideas. Now, what happened is, forgive me, I just woke up, that's why I look a bit disheveled. But what happened was, with this embrace of European-style values and European-style egalitarianism and European-style nonsense, that's when you see the beginning of the decline of the United States. The Enlightenment in the New World was a very positive thing, whereas the Enlightenment in the Old World was a very negative thing, because the Enlightenment in the New World did not embrace things like atheism, did not embrace things like egalitarianism, whereas in Europe it did embrace things like atheism. Europe is very atheistic, and it's not a good thing either. It has caused a decline. A lot of people think that atheism gets rid of superstition, but what it really does is it allows people to embrace superstition without rules, and this in turn destroys the value structure of the society and causes the decline of the society. This is why Europe is the way it is. And what has happened in Europe is there is no structure of values. You will see in European society, particularly Western European and Southern European society, an embrace of drug use. They want to legalize all drugs. They want to legalize pedophilia. They have been very how can I put this, lenient in their embrace of homosexuality, transvestism, these things forever. And people fail to understand that the Enlightenment in the United States and in the other Americas, a lot of people were coming here from Europe saying, we don't want no parts of this crazy crap. We want to be able to set up countries in the New World that do not embrace this weird crap. And that's why there's such a difference. Now, as I said, Mussolini, who I like Mussolini, but what we have to recognize is traditional fascism, which and Julius Evola, for example. We have to understand that the Enlightenment in the New World is not the same as the Enlightenment in the Old World. The Enlightenment in the New World already embraced ideals of fascism, already embraced a return to the Roman-style republic, already embraced the ideas of law and order over chaos. It is only in Europe that we see the Enlightenment functioning as a destruction of law and order, an embrace of a lack of values, atheism, and destruction there. In the United States and the other American nations, we do not need a return to crazy European values. We do not need a return to superstition. What the New World needs is actually a return to the values that it was founded on, which is freedom and an embrace of the Roman style values that we were founded on in the New World. Especially now, what you'll notice is a lot of people like to point to how Latin America is allegedly backwards. Latin America is not backwards. What had affected Latin America was the fiddling around in Latin American economics and Latin American leadership by the USSR and the United States at the turn of from the 19th century to the 20th century. This again, remember, the Soviet Union was the direct result of the Enlightenment, a direct result of these ridiculous egalitarian values. And also what you have to keep in mind is these egalitarian values infected science with things like Lysenkoism, which is completely ridiculous. So what you have is you have the United States and the USSR fiddling around in Latin America. If you really look at the level of the large countries in Latin America, like Mexico and some of these other countries, you will notice that they were on par with the United States in their development economically, socially, etc. It is not until the turn of the century that you see any degree of, quote, backwardness. But what I would like to point out is the continuity. What's interesting about Latin America is the unique genetic diversity combined with cultural continuity throughout what would be the old Spanish American Empire. These are things that the United States needs to look into. How did Latin America do that, and how can we effectively have an agreement with these countries? And also, how can we first start by allowing the Latin American people to know that the Anglo-American people are not their enemies? And how can we let everybody know that it's the European powers, the old world powers, that are the ones that are really in a decline? They're acting like an anchor, and if we don't remove this anchor, it's going to pull us down with them. And that's all I wanted to say today.